Well, good afternoon. It's the last day of March, and my name is Trevor Greenfield with Riomax, and I am really thrilled to welcome our guest speaker today, Tom Schnabel. Tom, welcome.
Hi.
Appreciate you taking time out of your busy calving season to join us.
Yeah, it's that time of year where you don't know when you're going to grab a bite to eat or when you're going to grab a wink of sleep, but we'll do what we can to make everything work.
Well, wait a minute. Have you had lunch yet?
Actually, no, I haven't.
Okay, let's get this thing over with, and then you can go eat. Can you introduce yourself and your ranch? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, as you said, I'm Tom Schnabel, Eureka, South Dakota. We go by Schnabel Ranch Simmentals. We're your seed stock operation. We operated commercial and seed stock for many years, and we made the tough decision to go strictly seed stock this year, and we dispersed our commercial herd here in December. So lightened the load a little bit, but we still are maintaining 400 cows, which is still enough. We're strictly family owned, family oriented. It's my dad and my mom and my wife. We got 4 little kids, and they're as involved as any of them are. I mean, they're willing to be out at 6 in the morning or 1 in the morning. They don't care if there's something that they can do. They're willing to do it. And
That's awesome.
but we're not very good at social distancing right now because when we go to tag, everybody's got to ride with. So I don't know if we can make 6 inches work, much less 6 feet apart inside there when we're trying to squeeze 4 people in there.
But that as far as what you guys are doing, I love the work ethic. I love the family story that you haven't even started hardly yet, and you're already learning so much about a ranching family. I think it's awesome. But we were talking to a guy from Wyoming the other day, and he said, I don't know what all the social distancing is about. He said, I never come in within 6 foot of anybody.
Yeah, that's about right. I mean, this time of the year, it's that's why I got a hat on. I guess I call it calving hair. I haven't had a haircut for I don't know how long, but there's no time to sneak away. You don't do any of that stuff really. So.
Well, our hearts really go out to those that are suffering and those that are at this time being affected in any way by the COVID-19. There's a lot of businesses that are non-essential, and I've heard many stories of businesses that have pretty much taken a nosedive overnight. So we would extend our heartfelt sympathies to all of these challenges that folks are facing. But if we can step into the cow-calf sector right now, Tom, help us out. Give us some advice. What, as far as sustainability, economically, it's a tough industry on a good day. Now you're weathering the storm. We got COVID-19. We got the markets. We got these factors. What's your advice, or how are you doing it? Give us a ray of hope from your point of view.
Number one, faith, family, farming. And for us as our individuals, we're huge football fans. So our motto is kind of faith, family, farming, and football. Those are the things that they keep us going. You gotta rely on that. You gotta lean on that stuff. If we can't lean on the good word of the Lord, not much is gonna get us through. I do my most praying when I'm out here in the field, when I'm with my cattle. I get a sick calf, or I got a cow that I see she's got a water bag out. It's up to God. Give me the strength, give me the right decision. Do I intervene now? Do I wait? Lead the right direction, let me have a healthy, safe calf, and let us do, lean on your families. You know, they're there for support. It's your support system. I mean, if we can't lean on our family, we can't rely on anybody. And right now in this social distancing, you can't go to a bar and hang out with your buddies. You can't go to a restaurant and get away. You're with your family. And, if you can't stand being confined and quarantined with your family, your life probably wasn't very happy to begin with.
You've got problems.
I'm having the time of my life. I mean, I don't even realize that anybody's quarantined. I'm out here doing what I love with the people I love. So, it's just how it is for me.
Well, I love the message of optimism and hope, and really based on a foundation that none of us can argue with. The fact that faith is your number one of the four points you mentioned. I really appreciate that. And I think this crisis, as any crisis does, sort of causes people to become more dependent than maybe when things are going just smooth, So I think that's, and then family, you're right. There, we can enjoy good times. We can enjoy the richness of families, and I think a lot of families are getting to know each other again. If you can manage to social distance yourself from your phone, you might have a chance of getting to know your family again.
Yeah.
So it's good to see the good side of this.
How this happen. It makes you wonder, were we just getting to be so busy in our lives that the Lord just kind of, we got to figure something out, that people slow down time. I mean, we were no different. I mean, fall of the year, you're busy running. Kids are involved in sports. They're in school. They're in this. They're in that. And I mean, you put more miles on everything, and all the, I heard the other day on the news, they said that from space, you can visually see the impact that this has had that the COVID has had on the atmosphere of Earth. It is so clear from space right now, which, to all the quote unquote tree huggers out there that think that cows are blowing all this methane out, we got the same number of cows here, but our vehicles, don't blame our cows for methane, for warming up the atmosphere. I mean, our cattle are still here, but we're just slowed down. We don't have as many vehicles on the road. We don't have as many factories running, which I know it's crucial to everything, but we got to take a step back and kind of get our priorities back in check again as to what we need to do.
I think so. I think the word priorities is the key. You spoke about the methane myth. There is a myth that a cow puts off more greenhouse gases or methane or whatever, when in actual fact a ranch is a carbon sink. There's more carbon going into the soil than is going into the atmosphere. Not very well known fact. Can you speak to that point? I'm kind of passionate about this.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's sad that the mainstream media can influence the minds of so many with such little background knowledge behind it. I mean, it's sad how we just follow. We hear one thing, say something, and we just follow it all. And instead of doing a little research, but I mean, there's as many cattle right now or more than normal because everybody's calving. Well, babies fart, so do little calves. So we've got more methane gas coming out now than we probably do on a normal time throughout the year.
Yeah. And yet the beauty of it is, in actual fact, that with a healthy ranching ecosystem, or you might call it Mother Nature, as Mother Nature had it long before we started ranching,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that carbon sink. So it's a beneficial cycle rather than a detrimental cycle. So
Yep.
I'm getting off on a bit of a tangent here, Tom, but I just wanted to cover on that. So tell us, what would your advice to other ranchers be that are in your situation to try to look at weathering this storm and then the bigger picture?
One thing, don't be afraid to stray off the path of what you normally would do. I mean, what grandpa, great grandpa, dad, what they might have done 20, 30, 80 years ago, whenever your ranch was established, doesn't work now anymore. Help implement technology. One thing that we did this year that it seems contradictive, we spent money, but we're saving money. We've changed all of our feed, all of our TMR rations and everything. We converted over to a cloud-based program. It keeps 100% inventory of our feed that we have. One thing, you got your batch sheets that you get from your nutritionist. Well, you're loading 500 pounds of corn and your silage and this and that. And oops, I was over by 100 pounds. Well, that's okay. I still fed this size batch that day. Well, you don't realize how many dollars you throw out the back end and that you spend extra. Where this program, if I'm over 20 pounds of corn, it calculates 20 pounds of corn on there. I put my cost of my corn in there, put my cost of my silage, all my feedstuffs. The program $1,500 for the year for the subscription, and I know I've saved well over that. It makes me more. It holds me accountable. It makes me more accountable for what I'm really putting on there instead of just that's close enough or it was good enough.
How much did you say it cost you a year?
It was $1,500 for the year. And it's $150 a month, or you can pay for the year subscription. I believe it was $1,500. So we have iPads now that I've got all my stuff on an iPad. I can walk around through the lots. I can put bunk scores in as to how much there is. I eliminate all the pen and paper. It's all cloud based, and we use on calves, we use a liquid protein in their feed with Rumensin and whatever for when we're feeding them in their TMR ration inventory. It'll tell me when I'm down to 4,000 gallons left. It'll tell, or 4,000 pounds left. I mean, and then I know I got to call the nutritionist and say, hey, we got to get some more ordered, because that dark black liquid, if it stains the tank and you don't know how much you got, all of a sudden, oops, I'm out, and you're off. You got everything off for a few days. But the nice thing of having every day, my ration cost is different, but at least I know exactly what I'm feeding, and I know to a T what my expenses are. If we have to medicate a calf, I can go in and I can add that into the program. And we got to be able to use technology. I mean, the technology's there for us, and if we can utilize it, it's only going to make us more efficient.
Right. And what you say about spending money to save money, that is a tough thing for us to do in this industry or any business. I mean, I'm in business too, and I don't like spending money unless I can see that it's going to make me money. Then it changes the whole picture.
Exactly. And that's one thing I got it from, I believe it was Josh Freiberger, that, where he started feeding a little higher quality feed. He was getting more with less. He lowered his feed. Well, we do everything with a TMR ration on ours. Everything we feed our cows, calves, everything gets fed a TMR ration of chopped hay, silage, green chopped oats and peas. But what we did differently this way after hearing Josh there in November was we've got wet corn this year, and it's light corn. It's not the greatest. So we implemented 5 pounds of corn into our cow diet, which seems foolish, but at the same time, it's saving me. My cows have gone from eating 80 to 90 pounds per head per day of as fed product, we're down to 60 pounds. So
Wow.
by putting 5 pounds of corn in there, I decreased my overall feed by 25 to 30 pounds less that I'm having to feed them.
Right.
So you figure
Right.
the cost of what 5 pounds of corn costs you versus an extra 20 to 30 pounds of silage, oats and peas, hay. That's a ton of money. You know, I did some rough figuring the other day. I figured it's going to save me right at $15,000 on the bottom end.
Wow. Wow. Well, it comes back to, in a tough time like this, or I'd say, let's say blanket statement, in the cow-calf industry, in the livestock, the beef industry, we can't afford not to optimize and do what you've done. We can't afford not to get that extra $15,000 on the low end. You
Yeah.
know, and just to quote a customer of ours in Idaho, he was saving, by using our product, he was saving 11 pounds of hay per day compared
Yep.
to the previous year. And he says, with the hay I'm saving, I can't afford not to use Riomax. And this
Yep.
is not a buy Riomax forum right now, but it's I think we need to be working with each other in the industry to help look at ways to get
Yep.
more efficiency, because the ranch operations that don't do that, Tom, as you talk about thinking out of the box, embracing some maybe technology, using ways to make it more efficient. If we don't do that, we might find ourselves as one of the operations that, sadly, but pretty sure is going to go out of business here in the next 3 years.
Yep. You know what I mean? Another thing, I mean, you've got to rely on experts. You know, I mean, I've got a basic knowledge of, you know, I don't have a college education. I'm a high school graduate. That's it. But I'm doing what I love. And, you know, these guys that are your nutritionists or your agronomists, even a financial advisor that can help you watch markets, which is extremely crucial right now, this time, you know, in these days and ages of expanded limits that we can have. I mean, we can lose $20-$30 on the board easily in a week. And, you know, we've got to have some of these experts that's their job. That's what they're paid to do, why we rely on them. And, you know, our nutritionists, that's why we use them. We test all of our feedstuffs so we can balance a diet and we're not just throwing money out the window.
Yeah.
You know, used to be, well, one bale for every 20 cows, you know, every day when you're feeding. Well, if you got 200 cows out there, well, we got to put 10 bales out there throughout the course of the day and they'll be happy. Did they need it? Probably not. Were there other options? Absolutely. And that's why we started going to the TMR ration. I can control what they use and what they eat. We don't have near the waste, you know, and not everybody, it works that way. I mean, we're in nice big open country. We can drive a tractor and feed wagon pretty much wherever we please, but you get in the rolling mountains and stuff, yeah, it's not that easy to do.
Right.
But, you know, by running our hay through a tub grinder, grinding it, making it even more palatable to them, it's less waste. So I mean, it's you just got to try to squeeze every last penny out of that dollar. You know, if you can take that dollar and you can squeeze 120 cents out of it, great, you made 20 cents.
You're in business. Yes.
You know.
Yeah. So as far as what you've done on the genetic side of things, you've shared that with us before. Can you touch on that?
Yeah, we've been AIing for over 20 years now. Kind of ironic. I skipped school to go to school. I skipped school when I was a sophomore to go to AI school, and but it was something I was going into and what I wanted to do. You know, and there's, no matter who you are, even if you're the wealthiest seed stock owner, you can't afford to go out and buy $1,000 bulls and have them walk in your pastures all the time, it's the easiest and best way to improve your herd the fastest. Because yeah, you can mate your bull with 20 cows, 30 cows, great, but those 30 cows, it might not be the perfect mating for him all the time. I mean, when we're AIing, we use probably 20 different bulls a year that we're mating with, just because there's traits, characteristics we need to change, we want to correct. We feel, it's kind of a science experiment almost. I mean, you got your cow, and well, we'd like to add a little bit more quarter, we'd like to add, put a little more flank, a little more depth. Well, we'll breed her to this bull that's if she's a 6 frame, we'll breed her to a 5.5 frame, lower her frame score a touch, thicken the kit. We're thinking we can make this science experiment and create this model, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but at least you can try your best to utilize the elite genetics that are out there.
Yes. So compared to spending the money on a bull, basically what you're doing is you're kind of fast forwarding that whole process, aren't you?
Yeah. Yep. And you're eliminating some of them bulls that you use are $30, $40, $50,000 bulls. Well, what happens when he's walking out there and he slides off the cow and he steps in a hole and he breaks his leg?
Yeah.
You're out that money. I mean, yes, it can happen to anything, but you're taking some risk out. I mean, I'm not saying we use slouches for cleanup bulls anymore, but I can't afford to drive the countryside, and we utilize bulls from Canada, from United States, Canada, bulls, and get them all hauled here and deal with them all, just to be able to mate this one with this one.
Yeah.
And you don't need near as much bull power walking around here then either when you AI. I mean, you got, we generally figure 25 cows roughly as a 25 to 30 per, is a nice figure for a 2 to 3 year old bull. Well, that's an aged bull. That's what a lot of guys around here figure. Well, once we AI, I run one bull with 60 head. So I need half the bulls walking around here. So in essence, if I want to take and I want to allocate $100,000 towards bulls I want, well, if I need 10 bulls, I can only spend $10,000 a piece. But now if I'm AIing and I only got to breed to half the bulls that cover half, more elite cleanup genetics then out of them,
Can
or
you
still
just say
stay
that last
within
sentence again? It just kind of cut out there, Tom.
What's that?
Can you just say that last sentence? It just cut out real. The internet kind of chopped.
I said if you're going to allocate $100,000 a year to bulls or whatever your price may be, that you get and you need 10 bulls, well, you can spend $10,000 a bull. But if you're gonna AI and you're able to run one bull with twice as many cows, now you can pony up $20,000 a bull, or stay at 10,000 and you just put another $50,000 in your pocket. Right. And it doesn't cost $50,000 to AI those cows. We AI close to 350 head. Till we're all said and done, we're probably in the 15,000 range, roughly.
Wow.
That we spend to AI all of those, on the high side.
So when you challenge status quo, and that has become a bit of a overused phrase, challenging status quo. We certainly do it every day in our industry. But I think in doing that, Tom, you're immediately giving yourself, you're sort of opening up the windows of opportunity. Yeah. And, for us as a company, and I think for any company going through these challenging times of COVID-19, I think we've got to be looking for windows of opportunity, rather than just, head down and throwing up our hands and saying, I can't do it the way I've always done it. You said it earlier, grandpa and dad, and there's that saying, if you do what you've always done, you will get what you've always got.
Yep.
20, 30 years ago, that might not have been a bad thing, you know, when inputs were way down and you know, it was more profitable. But if we continue to do what we did 30 years ago, I think we're going to be in trouble trying to do that in 2020, you know.
Yep. You know, and the other thing nice with the AIing, you're syncing all those cows up. So instead of spreading them out over 45 days, 60 days, whatever you may use, you know, you take 100 cows and you get 60, 70% conception, say 65. Now 65 of those cows are going to calve generally within a 5 to 10 day window. How much is uniform calf crop worth to you if you take 60 head and you can put a semi load together, if you can put a full pot load together, they'll bring a premium over a part load. You know, and we had that ourselves. We had a full load when we sold in February. Full load weighed 912. They brought a $136, all blacks. Coming right in behind them, we only had a 3/4 load of our reds, as good a quality, maybe a touch better. They weighed 905, 7 pounds lighter. They only brought $1.28. So we gave up $6 a hundred just because we didn't have a full load. You know, and if you got a horse trailer load here, and I know it doesn't work for everybody, you know, not everybody's got the volume, but the tighter you can make that calving window and more uniform that calf crop is, it's just money in your pocket. I mean, we've got a lot of seed stock guys or customers of ours that buy bulls. We try to make large sire groups because a lot of our customers want to buy half brothers. You know, you see a family of 5 brothers. Generally, there's a lot of similarities. You know, if they're usually all really tall, you might have one that ends up getting the short end and only be 5'2", and the rest are 6'4". But most of the tea is uniform, and you see a lot of similar characteristics. And if you can make a uniform package of cattle,
yes,
it's what sells. You know, uniformity and load lots sell.
Yeah, and I think it's great what you're bringing to the table here, because it's might say incremental changes that you've made on your ranch that all add up to a compound, to a basically going straight onto your bottom line.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of guys look at saving money, and in other words, reducing input costs, reducing expenses, and I'm in agreement with that. But I'm also a fan of, if you can spend $1 to get $1.20, like you said, then that's something we should. So I think for ranchers out there, we need to be looking at wise saving and wise spending, because you can't. I mean, you could do unwise saving and starve your cows. That's not going to do you any good.
No,
you could do unwise spending.
Have poor conception the following year.
Exactly.
How much is it? You know, if you got 15% of your cows are open because you tried to skimp on some feed and save some money, how much are those cows worth you? I mean, we're seeing it right now. Those cows are a factory. How much money are these business owners making that are having to close down factories? They're not. I mean, these cows, yeah, they're a living animal, but they're as much of an industrial machine or factory that you could, I mean, that's what they are. You have to, you got to treat them as such.
Yeah. I like what you're saying. You know, I've had to try to explain our business to people outside of the ranching industry a time or two. Not easy. But what I've finally decided to do, just the way I word it, is, look, if a guy has 500 cows it's like a factory with 500 machines.
Yep.
And that machine is measured on its output capacity. But for it to have a maximum output capacity, you got to take care of that machine. It's got to be oiled. It's got to be maintained. It's got to be cared for. And
Yep.
that is no different to a cow. So, yeah, it's once you tell them that, they're like, okay, we get it.
Yep.
It's same with when we say helping digestion. People think, oh, that's going to make their rumen look all warm and fuzzy and cute. No, impacting digestion has got to put a dollar sign on the bottom line, or it doesn't need to be done.
Yep, absolutely. Like I've said before with you guys at your meetings and stuff, when we started, we ran 10% open. Just it's what it was. I mean, that's just the norm up here. 10% open cows. We used Rio one full year. We dropped to 5%. For the last 4 years now, I think 3 years, we're running 3 to 3.5% open. Well, we had 600 cows, so 10%, you got 60 opens. Now we saved half of them that first year, so we only had 30. This year, I think I had 17 open cows or 16 open cows. That's money in your pocket. The more cows I can have having a calf,
Yeah.
more production and it's more profit. Because that cow, by the time you find out she's open, that's what sucks so bad about it. You calve her out in spring, whether it be March, April, May, whatever. You run her on grass, you give her your spring shots, you run her on grass, so you pay a whole summer's worth of rent of grass. You don't preg check her until November, December, and because you're expecting her to calve again in March or April, and all of a sudden you find out in December that she's open. You got 8 months of expense in and zero output.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what we need to increase. The education is the wrong word maybe, but increase the awareness of folks that open cows are not just, I've heard guys say, if my breed up rates are too high, I won't have any cows to take to town. I'll have no beer money.
Yeah.
And I get that good old humor. But really, when you're running it as a business and looking at it as factories, you take it from 60 cows down to 30 cows, down to 17 cows open. Now we start to impact your economic model, and that's what we're in business to do.
Yep. That's 40 extra calves. Well, just flat number, $1,000 a calf. That's $40,000.
Right.
I mean, that's real money. I wish I had an issue where, 40,000, no big deal. It's not that way.
No, it's not that way.
Hell, you're happy to save $400, much less $40,000.
And the other thing to that, Tom, is let's say those 40 cows, you're not factoring in replacement heifer costs either.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother part of the equation. But I think it's just kind of fun to sit here and chat about all the different aspects. You've gone like right across the whole spectrum in terms of little ways that you can impact your profitability, saving money, making money, or both. And it all starts with your mindset, Tom. You're a pretty young guy to be this progressive and this advanced. But I think you're kind of a inspiration to the ranching industry, because if you can do this and become, that's great. Let them bark.
Yeah. Like I say, kids are all in the house working on homework, so I came down to the office. So it's in the barn. I got tags that we got made, and my sidekick had to come along with me. And
yep, fair enough. He's probably telling us it's time to wrap up this meeting. But I was just going to say, I think it's an inspiration to us in the ranching industry to look at examples like yourself. And I'm not saying AI is going to fit for everybody, or just exactly what you're doing is going to fit for everybody. But looking at the principle of challenging status quo and looking for ways to drive your economic model, and everything you've mentioned is driving that very thing.
Yep. It's, another thing that I guess we did is we do a lot of grain farming. Not a lot. I guess we got about 2,500 acres of grain that we do, of crops.
Right.
And it always used to be, well, what we put into the pile, okay, this is what my input cost was. This is how much I had into it. But it didn't make me anything that way, thinking about it that way. If I'm going to put this corn in a pile, I basically operate things now as Schnabel Ranch grain division, Schnabel Ranch cattle division. And when I'm putting my rations together with the nutritionist and we assess our values, I figure my bottom line break even, what I have into it, what my cost is of land rent, property taxes, all the labor into it. And then I need to make money off of that. My grain side has to be able to sell that feed to my cattle side to make money.
Right.
And my cattle side has to be able to buy that feedstuffs from the grain side to be able to make money. And if I can show a profit on my grain side and on my cattle side, and I think that's a mistake that a lot of people probably just overlook. I mean, I know we did for years, it was one thing that Dad and Grandpa did. Well, I had this much tied into the corn for silage. That's what we'll use for a value. But you got to be able to sell that as though you're planting it as a cash crop, and you got to sell that feed through these cattle.
Yeah.
And for us, with basis and different things that we deal with, as far as around here at elevators, I have to be able to I'm better off I walk our crops off through cattle than hauling it to an elevator.
Right. And at the flip side, you're running that ecosystem like this so that the cattle impact on the performance of the crops.
Yeah.
You can't argue with that because you got the manure and the hoof action and just the way Mother Nature created it. So that's great. Hats off to you for doing that.
Yeah. And what better way to break down organic matter, break down fertilizer and trash out on a field, to break it down and get it turned into organic matter and useful to the soil.
Yes.
You turn those cows out there and they're going out, they're grazing, they're breaking it down in their system, and it's going back out the back end, and it's into a usable form then already.
Sure.
And it's not synthetic, it's not man-made. You got to try to cut costs wherever you possible. And these markets are tight. Fertilizer might be one of those things that guys are going to look at. But with having cattle walk, our soil tests have never faltered much. We've been able to stay pretty steady all the time.
There again, another impactor of your economic model. So you're using the cattle, you're managing to reduce the amount of fertilizer. And again, I think this kind of a forum is going to help people. And I don't claim to have much knowledge around it at all, Tom, but getting folks like you to share ideas and tips, it's not rocket science, but I do feel that it's overlooked. And if this forum can do anything, I think it can spread some positivity and some hope and some actionable, realistic points that you've shared with us. I appreciate that.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, it's like I say, I don't have a college education. I mean, I just high school, but if you can learn all this stuff, I mean, you learn a lot by experience and you'll remember a lot more. I mean, yeah, there's books, there's emails, research that you can do, and that's great. But when you experience something, you'll never forget it.
Yeah.
Whether it was good, bad, you'll never forget when you experience it.
Well, Tom, just to wrap up here, We have a concept here at Rio since COVID-19, and we call it HA, Operation HA, Heads Up Healthy.
Yeah.
And I don't need to tell you about that because you're that way already. But can you speak to the ranching industry? Any tips in conclusion of this forum? Any tips to help us keep our heads in the right place so that we don't make any panic-driven decisions? Help us out, please.
It's just stay positive. I mean, it sucks. I'm right there with you. Some guys have the perspective, oh, seed stock guys, they're flying high on their horse. They got all this money. We see bulls bring this, that. We got a lot of inputs to it. We've been on all sides of this. I mean, I've been in the trucking industry. I mean, we've busted our butt to try to get to where we are. I mean, I hauled cattle over the road for 10 years, came home, did chores, calved cows. I mean, you try to do as much as you can. We've been the seed stock, we've been commercial, we've done feed yard stuff. You've got to keep your options open. And if you have any opportunities, look at an opportunity, but stay positive. Don't get down on anything. I mean, if you're feeling down, find somebody you can talk to. I mean, it's a sad subject, but the amount of suicides that are going on in the ag industry right now, it's tough. Yeah. And I tell you what, Trevor, you want to put my number up here? If somebody's got a problem, they want to call. I'll talk with people. I mean, I'm not perfect. Never have been, never will be. But I tell you what, we got to have a support system out here, and we've got to be able to lean on each other. If you need a sounding board, I'll be here to listen. I mean, call anybody.
I think that's great. They say a problem shared is a problem halved. Immediately, it sort of lets that pressure off.
Yeah.
And I think
you're not alone in this. I mean, you might think I'm the only one that's having trouble with my banker. I'm the only one having trouble with my cattle. I got sickness. I got this. Good Lord never gives us more than we can handle. And if he's giving you a lot of down stuff, it's because he knows that you're one tough son of a bitch and you can make it through it.
Well, I guess that's great. Let's wrap up with that. I think that breathes not only hope and some optimism into all of us in the industry, but more than that, I think it gives us some clear, actionable steps that we can all take.
Sure.
If we're not doing it already. And like I always say, not everything fits every operation. But if we can take the principles that you've mentioned and embrace the optimism that you have, lean on your families and let off steam to people if you feel you need to. I think that's good. There is a way through this, Tom. And I think wrapping up your first point you mentioned there in your 4 F's was faith. And I certainly can't improve on that. I think that's I think you've given us all a good send off for weathering this storm.
Sounds good. I mean, it's like I say, you need somebody to talk to. Don't be afraid to call. I mean, you guys can give my number out to anybody. I'll visit with anybody about it. I mean, it's this industry is something that it's about passion. If a person's doing this for money, they're not in it, because there's just hasn't been a lot of money in it. We're all doing this because we're passionate about it. We're here to take care of the Lord's environment, to take care of his animals and to do his work. And if we're not here to do it, who's going to do it?
Yeah.
We've got it. We're here to do his job and to do his work. And it's all about passion. Stay passionate with it. Don't give up hope on it. I mean, it'll turn around. It might not be next week. It might not be next year, but there's a lot of guys jumping ship. We could see a lot of numbers change. Inventory numbers change all the time. Box beef numbers change all the time. I mean, paper trading sucks. It's the worst thing in the world. I mean,
Yeah.
half them guys don't know what a cow even looks like. They wouldn't know it if it came up and kicked them in the ass. But it's just, I mean, we've got to weather through it. Our forefathers did it, probably not to the extreme that we did, but we've got to find the other options out there, and we just got to lean on each other to do it all.
Yeah. Well, in an earlier forum that we had, there was a guy talking about his forefathers, and they had to live in sod houses and brave the blizzards and brave the West and all of this. So I think every generation has had its challenges. Now,
Yeah.
did anyone see this one coming? No. But I think if we can stay strong, as you mentioned, and I appreciate you willing to put your number out there. I think we can hang together as an industry and actually unite as an industry as a result of this. So we come out stronger than we went in.
Yeah. You know, and if you got urban people that are questioning your ethics of what you do, why you do it, we've got to educate people. I mean, in this day and age of social media, the impact that is spread, I mean, bad word spreads like wildfire. And if people aren't educated and really know what's going on and why we do it, you know, it doesn't do us any good to sit and complain about something if we aren't going to take an initiative and try to educate the public ourselves. You know, we've got to let these people know why we're doing it, that we aren't cruel to these animals. I mean, is there a bad apple in every barrel? It's just, it's how it is. But I mean, the majority of the true hardworking American that does the cat that is in this industry, they'd probably give their life for their animal. And I know I would. I mean, there's why do we sit out there when there's a blizzard? Why do we sit out there for 40 hours straight watching these cows in a blizzard just to try to save a calf? Or, I mean, we can find a calf that's stiff. You drag them into your house, you throw them into your shower, your bathtub that you sit or stand in to save him. I mean, I've done it before. I've taken my coat off of my back, thrown it on this calf to get them dried off and get them warm till I get them back to the house. Was I colder than hell? Yeah, but I needed to try to save that calf.
Yeah, I love this. I love the stories, Tom. It's a big picture discussion, and I think the urban people need to know about it. The lengths, the work ethic, the grit, the determination, the resilience of the rancher is something that we've got to really, really appreciate, because you know that the ranching agricultural industries are essential businesses. Well, that says it all. But you know, half the time you've got all this negative publicity and people flinging mud at ranchers and cows and all this other stuff that they don't understand. But if we take a look at the ranching industry, and I'm personally going to do this, is to get the story put together as best as I can, with whether it's video or interviews like this, or to take this story to the urban population so they can see that all this negativity is maybe just a small minority of the population that is making a lot of noise on social media, where there's hardworking men and women just like you that are paying the price for it. And so that's a great tribute to the rancher.
Yeah, I mean, we're a resilient breed. You know, I always say if farming was easy, everybody'd be doing it. And it's not for the weak. It's not for the weak at heart, not for the weak physically, and it's not for the weak at mind. I mean, it's strong. It's you just got it. It's for the strong. I mean, we're the strongest SOBs out here. It's just it's how it is. You know, no matter what the weather's like, we don't get a snow day. I mean, those cows need fed. If it's 50-mile-an-hour winds and blizzard, they still got to eat. We still go out. We got to take care of them, and it's just it's our job.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would say if you're watching this, please share this with folks so that you can hear firsthand the reality of this this ranching life. You know, ranching is sometimes made to look romantic, or cowboys and horses and stuff like that. Yes, it's got that side to it, but look at the men and women that are providing a healthy product that we can trust. It's healthy, it's clean, it's high in zinc, it's high in protein. I can't say enough. I'm actually a recovering beefaholic. Actually, I'm not recovering. I'm still a beefaholic. I can't speak enough of it. But once you get an emotional attachment with where this product comes from, guys, that changes the story. You see the families. Tom's talked about his 4 kids, his mother and his father, the ranch, the tough times, the blizzards, the nights, the saving that calf. I mean, there's so much of a story here. And then look at the resilience in trying to figure out a way to get through tough times. Not only COVID-19, but just the industry as a whole. It's not a walk in the park. But I think we can get heads up healthy that, I think this can feed off from the ranching industry into any part of the population. Take a look at Tom. Tom, do you have a website that you could share with us?
Yeah, we do. Our website, it's srsims.com. It'd be srsimms.com.
Okay. So, and do you have any pictures of you and your family on there?
Oh yeah, there's pictures of my family and I on there. We got pictures of all, a bunch of our cattle, previous bulls that we've sold. We try to keep it updated as much as possible, but there's not many hours to keep it updated.
I hear you.
We probably do more on Facebook. So anybody wants to friend me on Facebook or follow us on Facebook, we got just look for Schnabel Simmentals on there. We keep that updated, pretty regularly. We try to put new pictures and things of the kids doing stuff and whatever we have going on. We try to keep that updated.
Well, I think a message to the public and a message to the ranching industry is there's no doubt that people want to know where their food comes from. And people buy from people. People buy from people they like. People buy from people they trust. So if you think of it as a bunch of cogs like this, that's what we need to do is provide this connection. And if these forums if anything, if they can just provide a bit of a conduit or a bit of a pipeline, a link between the consumer and then upstream to the producer. And on the way, if we can give some hope to producers out there and listen to Tom here, I think this has been a worthwhile forum. So, sure. Tom, they're telling me it's my time is almost up on this thing. So I would like to thank you. It's been your lunchtime is long overdue for you, and probably there's a few heifers that have calved by now, and I better let you go. So thank you very much, Tom.
You bet. Thank you. We'll talk to you later.
All righty. Goodbye.
Yep. Bye.